see the actual game itself, the game screen, make sure to let me know if you guys see that down below. We're going to get started in about 2 to 3 minutes with this stream. And I'm going to see if you guys would like us to continue with our German stream or actually go ahead and do an Allied campaign. So we'll see what everybody thinks, and we'll move on from there. How's it going, Dak Man? Good to see you. And if you guys are obviously seeing like the regular Twitch screen right now, that's quite normal. We're just kind of jumping in between both. Video is good. Thank you, Dak. Very cool. Very, very cool. How's it going, Jackulus? Good to see you, Redster and Lanzer as well. Good to see everybody here. Well, guys, I think we're going to get started here. We've got about a minute until we pop off the stream. One thing I want to note, and you can actually type right here in the Twitch chat, is do you guys want to see us continue our Axis campaign that we were doing 2 days ago? Or would you like to see us maybe go ahead and do a brand new Allied campaign from 43 to 45. I'm going to let you guys decide that. Thank you so much. Yeah, we can turn the music down. Let's do that. There we go. All right, so Grey Knight would like to see us try as the Allies. Let's get a few more votes in here. Dakman's also going to vote for the Allies. I like the way you guys are thinking. All right, so I think we'll go ahead and do the Allies. We were doing the Germans last turn. I think it's fair for us to go ahead, start a new campaign, and we're going to do 43 to 45, guys. So that's the race to victory, of course. We actually played this with the older Strategic Command. I don't know how many people were there for that stream. We did, of course, finally get a victory, but I think we had 1 or 2 months after when World War II was supposed to end. Of course, we'll be taking the Allies here, and if we want, we can actually basically only focus on the Western Allies and not even focus on China and also on the AI over here of Canada. I think I'm going to go ahead and just for this particular scenario, I'm going to set China to be controlled by the AI, and I'm going to set Canada to be controlled by the AI. Actually, this could be the British Raj, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, let's see what happens, folks. Here we go. We are, of course, going to keep standard NATO counters. Although, if you guys would like me to take a look at 3D units, if that's, you know, anybody really wants to see that, I can do that. Just understand that most of the strategy gamers do seem to prefer the good old-fashioned NATO counters. How's it going, Wavo? Good to see you, bud. Hello, Paul. All right, so we're going to stick to the NATO counters, but I'll just go ahead and click 3D units. You guys can see here some very nice 3D units there in case you want to get something besides NATO counters, and we'll go ahead and advance, guys, as the Allies, 1943 to 45, the race to victory, aka the end of the Reich, hopefully. It does Ephrodos. Also, what you can do is just play by email, PBM, to do a proper game. Okay, wow. All right. So we start off here with the might of the Soviet army. Game's still loading a bit. Let's see if we get any message, but that's looking pretty good, and I can't wait to be able to cut off the Germans entirely. So if you guys look in the lower left corner, we're still initializing here a little bit. It's actually, the enemy's doing a defensive assessment. It's not going well for them. I can tell you that right now. You can just see this massive Soviet army. All right, so the Japanese are already attacking us here in the Gulf of Siam. Managed to get away, actually, with their destroyer. But our submarines, unfortunately, got hit. Yeah, exactly. I agree with Van Bishop there. I mean, you can absolutely do hot seat. So I guess the way you do it is you'd have a friend play his turn. He would end his turn, call you over, and not try and, of course, you know, hog the screen and see what you're doing. But, of course, PBM is always something he could do. That's usually what I do, play by email. All right, Soviet interceptors are stopping some of these German planes. They're trying to get past the Sea of Azov to our lines, but I think we can pretty much stop them here. All right, a lot of air combat going on. And it looks like they're going for our actual HQs at Voroshilov. What I really want to know is how are we going to get Operation Overlord set up, and how are we going to start it? Obviously, we still got a while before Operation Overlord pops off, but that's going to be a concern. For now, I'm just going to try and do as much damage as I can to the Germans with our Soviet forces, and keep them kind of occupied here. Alright, so yeah, continued bombing by the actual Germans in this particular sense. I mean, this is surprising. There is a lot of air contact by the Germans. We're going to just go ahead and receive it and hopefully do a nice counterattack to stop them. Okay. The Romanian Air Force, that's right, Paul Winter. Oh, that's pretty cool, Frodo. So Frodo's is saying he likes Hot Seat so he can play against his sister every now and then, and she doesn't have to buy the game herself. That's very cool. I'm all for people playing Hot Seat. I think it's fun, but if you've got friends like mine, watch your back. Just, when they're doing their turn, make sure that you end your turn first, or else they're just going to take a look at your screen and move from there. That being said, most of the items or most of the units you're going to be seeing on screen in this game anyway are going to be visible to you. Anyway, so I think it's a little harder to cheat than on another Hot Seat game. Yeah, absolutely, Jackman. You're absolutely right. I mean, just look at this air war. They're absolutely battling for control of the air to see if they can save their friends. Of course, Stalingrad is long since lost, or it's all the way over here. I can't tell. Is this post, or I think this might be pre-Stalingrad, or somebody will let us know. If it's post-Stalingrad, then they've already been forced back, and at this point, it's just one massive retreat on the German side, and we want to, of course, speed that retreat up. One of the ways we can do that is to cut off their rail lines at Gomel, but that also means going through the marshes at Pripyat, and what madman decided to build a railroad all the way through the Pripyat marshes? That's going to give us easy access to the back of the enemy lines. That may have actually done by the Germans to connect Kiev with Gomel, because as far as I remember, I don't recall that rail line. It's not an easy way to build a railroad. Thank you, Jaculus. So this is post-Stalingrad. Here we go. We've got some good old Katyusha rockets to defend the area. Firing at Orel. Now, it doesn't look like they're going to break through this unit here, but we've got so many reinforcements and replacements, I don't think it makes too much of a difference. Although the Japanese are still fighting strong against the Chinese over here. And once again, guys, if you prefer to play the game as just the Western allies, etc., that can be done. Currently, we don't have the Chinese selected, so we have the AI controlling the Chinese here. But, you know, if we wanted to, we could retake selection back and control them ourselves. Right now, though, I want to focus mainly on our Western allies as well as our Eastern allies, aka the Soviet Union. Not our Far Eastern allies. Alright, they're at Stalino, and obviously the boss wants us to take Stalino back. Nothing like having an actual town named after your leader being taken by the enemy. That's not a good thing. Also just kind of curious to see how the AI handles the Japanese. And we can support them quite a bit. Or, excuse me, how they handle the Chinese. We can support them quite a bit with our British forces in the British Raj. But let's see what happens. I mean, obviously here in, in this particular iteration of Strategic Command, you can see you've got so many responsibilities. We've even got forces in Port Moresby that we have to actually fight the Japanese back from. So it's not just centered around the most titular important conflicts, it's got everything in here. And you're absolutely right about the Battle of Kursk. That's what's going on right now. They just destroyed one of the tank divisions at Kursk. We've got to try and beat them. Now, we do have some defensive artillery here that can probably hammer the enemy for quite a bit, but we've got to keep sending the tanks in. We've got to win this battle. If we can win at Kursk, that's pretty much the end. That's pretty much the end for Germany. At that point, they just need to run as quickly as possible. But you can see they're trying to get those tanks through. It's a little intimidating, to say the least. Wow, I did not know that, Van Bishop. That's pretty cool. Stalin being Stalin, he had 18 cities named after him. Interesting, I did not know that. So there's Stalino, Stalingrad. I'm sure there's a ton of others, but that's quite interesting. Wow, so you hear at Kursk, the enemy tanks are definitely breaking through our infantry. How are we going to return our attack here? How are we going to get a victory? I don't know. I hope we still can, but it definitely seems to be a massive German attack at Kursk. They're trying desperately to break through, but let's just get rid of these guys and turn this army back. I'm sure the amount of reinforcements, or I should say even replacements, the Germans are getting are slowly waning, and we want to bring that number to a point where they can't even possibly reinforce these troops. Yeah, they've got us in a pocket here. This is definitely concerning. Okay, guys, Danish workers strike against the German occupation. Nice little commencement there. Allied raiders disrupt Japanese convoys, and some more Japanese convoys disrupted by our British Navy. So pretty cool so far, but now we get to strike back. Let's see how this goes, guys. My finger's on the trigger, or the mouse. I just want to see if we can't stop these Germans at Kursk and turn the tide of this war completely, the way it's meant to be done. As you can see, 3 armies destroyed by the Germans there. Pretty good. I mean, they still have a fight left in them, without a doubt. You're not starting the 43 campaign with an easy enemy by any stretch of the imagination, but they're definitely weakened. That's the case. Now look at that. A lot of Japanese popping up around here. We're just getting some intelligence reports. It seems like more intel reports than usual. All right, maintaining British national morale. For as long as the enemy hold all the following locations, we must ensure that we have 3 or more units within 10 hexes of Birmingham. Okay, so we just have to remember to keep some units here. We've also got a 4th Shock Army by the USSR, and as you can see here, it looks like the planning phase of Operation Overlord. We've got Canadian units, we've got American units, and British units all here. Now, I do want to drop our Shock Army. Where can we put him? Let's put him right here. Yeah. Okay, it's time to turn the tide. First things first, let's fire some Katyushas. It doesn't look like they're necessarily going to get a hit, but it's the terror they inflict that matters. Okay, we're going to bring in some bombers as well, guys. At this point, late in the war, the Soviet Air Force is actually a force to be contended with. It's a force to be reckoned with. So we are going to be able to hit these targets, but surely the German Luftwaffe is also quite strong still. And if we can go ahead, hit that tank, beautiful. Even just for a little bit of damage, I'll take it, guys. I'm also going to move in with the 5th Tank Regiment and go ahead, attack them head on, and look at that. Oh, that was a beautiful victory. Just an instant kill by the tank. We might even be able to even get another attack, and indeed we can. It's a bit of a stretch, but I'm going to go for that tank division as well. Bring them down to 6. Let's see what our infantry can do. They can still do some damage here, and at this point, it's all or nothing. So I need every single infantryman on the post attacking the enemy. We're actually going to switch these guys out. Unfortunately, that attack's not going to go very well, but our attack against these Romanians, the Romanian Cavalry Division, go extremely well. And it might be an easy task here to break through the Romanian lines, completely ignore the Germans for the most part, and just get behind them, really. So that's what I'm trying right now. It's a bit of a risky move. We can also attempt to take Stalino this turn. No, it's not going to go well for us. I'm still going to attempt the attack, guys. Even doing a little bit of damage is better than nothing here as we progress forward. That pocket, though, you're absolutely right, Dak, man. It's dangerous. So we've got this tank destroyer. Before we use it, though, I'm going to go ahead and fire at some other tanks with the artillery. I think the tank destroyer can pretty much destroy that target, but we'll wait and see. Here we go. Not bad. Move the tank destroyer back unless you can get another attack. Nope. So at this point, grab this tank unit. The 3rd tanks. Got them down to 2. Can we destroy the enemy with just a basic infantry unit? That's the question. And we can. The enemy has been shattered. Absolutely beautiful. We're so far doing okay getting out of the pocket, but we're just going to expand this. I'm not going to attack them there. That would be devastating. And we'll start attacking downwards over here. First, let me make sure I have fired all the Katyushas and all the regular artillery. I believe we have. And I might still send in a group of bombers against this anti-tank division, actually. For glorious Soviet Union. And you can just see the complexity and the length of these campaigns. We did a 43 to 45 campaign in the original Strategic Command World War II that you could just tell had so many fewer things to worry about than this one does. After we're done here, we have to go take a look at our positions in East Asia, all sorts of different areas where we've got some British troops. We got these guys down to the very last guys. I think we can finish them off with the glorious 57th Army. And there we go. Another enemy unit completely destroyed. I would push through with these tanks, but it looks like they're going to have to wait just a little bit. That's okay. We've got plenty of work to do. Look at that. You can't stop just a mountain of T-34s coming at you. And that's what the enemy is dealing with right now. Look at that. Instant kill on the Don Cossack Cavalry. Traitors to the rest of the Russian people. We're going to go ahead, break through, and we're going to try to get the enemy into our own little pocket here. We'll see how it works. They think they are tricking us, but they will be mistaken. Actually going to move this guy over here. We can't reinforce him this turn because he's already moved. However, we can rename these units. So if anybody would like us to name units after you, just make sure to come up with a semi-historical name, and we'll go ahead and put you in here. All right, Orel is ours pretty soon. I am worried about that unit right there. I'm going to move him back, actually, and see if this army can take his place. Nice. Let's get the paratroopers in here. Unfortunately, they're not going to be able to move all the way in. I definitely want to get a unit in there. Alright, this will have to do. I wanted to get a kill this turn, but we'll have to just accept that. course, we want to stop any German units trying to create a new front line here. Also, our units here at Moscow, we can reinforce quite a few of them. Get some max reinforcements going there. And just any of our units around Moscow, I want them to be at full strength so we can use them in this campaign. Reinforce max. It's actually an anti-air unit. Interesting. So we have this rail unit. Can we get them close enough to use them? Doesn't look like we can get them close enough this turn unless we keep on moving this way. So that's what we're going to do. And I'll keep hitting that infantry division that's trying to break through desperately. So yeah, we might lose some of these units with these attempts to break through. That's all right, though. Again, it's really all right if we take some losses in terms of numbers. Our ultimate goal is to just push the enemy back. We're probably going to have more losses than the enemy either way. The most we can do in this particular situation is to just keep trying to damage the enemy unit, send our forces back, refresh them, etc. Move this tank in here. Wow, he can get right up close and personal. Open fire with the Ilya Muromets armored train. Pretty nicely done there, guys. See if we can keep up the attack. I think we can. There we go. We're sending even enemy mechanized units retreating in panic. But I don't like what's going on over here. This is no good. I also don't like what's going on with the Finnish line. We need to push back at Narva. Can't allow the enemy to keep us in this pocket. So we need to find a way out. This is going to be the way out. I didn't want to have to make these units leave Volkov, but anything to break out here. We don't want to be trapped in Leningrad. And against the Finns, we wouldn't do very well. So I'm going to just keep that the way it is. I'll actually send our submarines over here to try and stop some German units. Maybe get some hits, not allow them to transport things as easily. And we could begin Operation Overlord pretty much whenever we want. You can see that we've got a tremendous amount of units here ready to go. But I think we should probably wait. We'll actually let you guys call it in terms of when Operation Overlord begins. Of course, it should be in 44 if we want to be historically accurate. But I'm fairly sure that we could probably leave early for Operation Overlord. Just take a look over here and see if we have any units. We've got quite a lot of infantry. So I'm going to go ahead and make a long range. Would it be a long range amphibious transport or a transport? I think it would just be a transport. If anybody wants to correct me on that, feel free. But we're going to basically send this guy over to the UK. We're also bringing some destroyers along with us. Basically just keep any possible German subs away from this, this group. Pixel goes choo choo choo. Couldn't help himself. Alright, so yeah, the transports are going to head over. So we'll send them to the UK. We definitely want to bring a general with us. An American general. I don't see any right here, but hopefully one will pop up. Let's do one long-range amphibious transport. I'm just curious to see what happens with the AVL. It might not be sufficient to even get across the ocean. Transport. So yeah, we're preparing a little bit early, for sure. Thank you, Van. Very cool. So we're doing okay on the transportation. That's pretty cool. Regular transport. In fact, if we want to be really sneaky, well, not even sneaky, but if we really want to push the ticket, we can land these American troops right on the coast and begin Operation Overlord, although I don't think that's a good idea. We really need to overload the coast with units if we want to win. Yeah, that's going to be it for the U.S. Let's jump over here to our eastern provinces. Now, again, the Chinese are pretty much doing this on their own, although interesting, we can take control of the Chinese whenever we feel like. So we might go ahead and just play with the Chinese as well. I'm gonna try and get to Peking. I think one thing we should do is cut off the Japanese. But they might be fairly well prepared. We even have control over Mao's Red Army, the Communist Chinese troops here. So cities like Chongqiao, things like this, these are extremely important. But this adds a whole nother level of complexity to our campaign. The fact that we need to also follow these guys. No, we're not going to be able to attack from there. It's not going to go very well. Sometimes we have to take risks, like here at Yunnan Province. And again, I know the odds are against us, but I have to try and get some attacks off. Japanese are pretty good in terms of holding this position, and I hope that since we selected China AI, that these guys will move with or without our help. So we might be able to just go ahead, break away, and the AI will do the rest. But I don't mind having semi-control of the artificial intelligence, so that if we see something that maybe we don't like, we can kind of move things around for the Chinese. I think that's pretty good. All right, Port Moresby. This is where we have to be a little bit careful in New Guinea. They actually have quite a few special forces troops. So I'm going to move my way up here. But we want to be careful. I think they're going to be very prepared to stop us. Let's move in with our special forces. Not bad. Unfortunately, we're going to have to wait before we can move this unit up. And we can also bring in some forces from Australia, Townsville, etc. There's actually some American forces waiting there. I wasn't actually aware that the Americans base themselves in Australia, although it does make sense considering the situation. All right, let's see what's going on here in North Africa. I think we've got full control. And at this point, a lot of AVs here. Oh my goodness, guys, amphibious transports. Are these for Italy? I believe they are. Let's just make sure that there's no threat here in North Africa. I don't see any. Yeah, guys, I think it's time to go to Italia. So that's what we're going to do. Now, typically, the Allies first landed on Sicily, so I'm going to attempt to do that and see if we can't get the Italians out of power, specifically Benito Mussolini. Let's go ahead, get our destroyers off the coast of Sicily, start bombing, and commence our landing. I mean, so much in just one campaign here. It's pretty incredible. All right, 2nd Tank Division. Now, they have suffered some casualties. Okay, some British Landing Corps also suffering casualties, but it looks like they might be able to actually start breaking Palermo apart here. This is the capital of Sicily, of course. There's also a garrison unit at Syracuse. I figure why not? Let's take him out, although I think he should be a pretty easy win here. Send the tanks in, get him over to Mount Etna, and boom, once again, a nice attack. I wonder if we could just move over here if there's some sort of land bridge. In some games there is, although usually the Strategic Command series stays true to realism. Bombardieri, and that's the Desert Air Force Tactical Bomber Group. They still got quite a bit of a fight left in them. Ah, thank you. Good point. He says make sure you get an HQ there pretty soon. That's a great idea. We'll go ahead and make... we didn't need to make a long-range AV, but we'll take it nonetheless. And we'll drop him off next turn right there. There we go. Okay, nice. We already got an HQ there. Let's see what general it is. It's General Montgomery. Well, there's Monty. Okay, let's not let Monty get killed by garrison troops. Just to be sure, I'm going to bombard Syracuse to high heaven and hope we get lucky. I'll also keep some submarines outside of Rome. I still don't expect there to be much naval activity going on there, to be honest with you. But just in case. In the meantime, we'll send one of our units onto the actual Italian mainland. But again, if we want this to work, we need to pretty much keep this going non-stop. And is this I think this is Calabria, or is it Puglia? This area right here. Alright, we've done what we can there. We can, of course, still bring some more units over. In fact, we'll make some long-range transports here. It's Calabria. Thank you, Van Bishop. So, yeah, we've just dropped off into Calabria. Not with many units, though. A pretty tiny amount of units, to say the least. And we'll come back to the Soviet front. I mean, there's so much that we still have to do. I want to get our absolute strongest units there on the front. I was thinking we'd be able to get Kaluga this turn. If not, that's alright. So we still got Novgorod under German control here. So let's do, yeah, let's go for Novgorod. Again, breaking out is going to be, you know, half the challenge is going to be just breaking out of here. And I want to make sure we're not forgetting anything. I don't think we are. We can't attack with the Soviets yet in the actual East Asia area. That only happens in 44, or actually 45, when the Soviets actually finally decided to attack the Japanese. So for now, there's not much going on, and I'm really hoping that the AI will take control of the Chinese there. We'll see that pretty soon. Also got a few units here in near Jerusalem, also some in Egypt. Let's go ahead and do the amphibious transport. I should have done the long-range amphibious transport for this one, but we're going to try to get over to Italy as soon as possible. We can both try to stop each other's shipping, so let's see if we can't do that ourselves. We can also set mines with some of these ships, although I don't think I want to take that risk. I'm fairly new to this game, and that's something new in the games, is setting mines. So for now, I'm going to leave the mines off, but I would definitely love to drop some mines outside of Bremen and Hamburg, and just cause some extra, extra confusion for the enemy, basically. What about here? We still have the airborne divisions, the paratrooper divisions. I'll try to move them over here. Why do they suffer landing casualties? Had I known they were dropping from a plane, I would have just gone ahead and dropped them into Sicily. Okay, we're going to take this right here. AV. Yeah, so we can still move this amphibious vehicle. And I'm going to put them over here. Okay, let's see. Okay, we can still attack that garrison with another battleship. Why not? I doubt we're actually going to do any damage to the garrison itself. But again, shock and awe can be pretty useful in battle, and that's what I'm going for now. Just pure, good old-fashioned shock and awe. What about over here? I think we've done pretty much everything we've set out to do. Make sure we don't have any other Soviet armies that we can move. are going to take some losses in this attack, but I think it's really important to just constantly be attacking the enemy here. Oh, thank you, Van Bishop. So Van Bishop just let us know that we can actually choose the raiding option there on our submarines, which basically makes us go after specifically enemy convoys, things like this. I think that's pretty cool. Not sure if right now we can change that option, but we can, once we actually begin to move the unit, we have that option. Pretty neat. And once again, I could start Operation Overlord, but we'll wait just a little bit before that occurs. Yeah, not much else to do here. I wish we could reinforce that 6 just because he's actually in a sort of fortress position, but that's not going to be an option. So what are we going to do? I think we'll just end the turn here. Again, I'd love to get that tank through. You know what? I'm going to try. Nope, we can't. That was a bad idea. We would also have been attacking an anti-tank unit with a tank. You know, logic tells us probably not the finest plan. So we'll go ahead and end the turn. Just making sure we don't have any other bombers here that can head out on missions. And what about our paratroopers at Bryansk? Might as well bring them forward. Okay, wow, we can actually get a hit on this German HQ. Model, General Model is going to get a little surprise here. Van says Agrippa's Hellhound is greeting us. Yes, he always thinks we're being infiltrated by some sort of spy ring. Bullet, you think we're being infiltrated by a spy ring, don't you? It's not happening. Okay, we're going to go ahead and end the turn here, and let's hope for the best. And I really hope specifically that the AI will take over the Chinese, because we selected them to be controlled by the artificial intelligence. Here we go. Fingers crossed. Okay, nice. Cool. So yeah, there's definitely AI controlling the Chinese here. And I think, yeah, they actually switched some of my moves there, as you can see. So that's good. It also looks like the AI is controlling the British in the eastern area, let's say. So the Chinese, as well as any British troops in that general area, is being controlled by China. The Hellhound. Pixel says, "Hi, bullets." It's an appropriate name for a wargamer's dog, I think. Yes, you're not very smart, are you, Bullet? You're just not very smart. You're just like your owner. That's right. Okay. Boom. I'm actually kind of impressed here by how the AI is dealing with the Japanese. But honestly, right now, it looks like they're just kind of holding them out. Not going for any sort of counterattack, just holding out. It's actually looking like a more proper front line. Soviet morale is boosted by the Allied landings in Italy. So see, we can actually change the game just based on what we do. I love that about Strategic Command. I hesitate to call it an RP strategy game, but there's a lot of RP elements. Just because we landed in southern Italy, the Soviets are happy, and Italian national morale has dropped dramatically. So, you know, being in southern Italy, being able to take Sicily and move into Calabria, it's definitely scaring the Axis, and that's always a good thing. Turkey notes with interest the Allied weakness in Iraq. That's not good. Last thing we need are the Turks to join the Axis. How terrifying would that be? Colombia joins the Allies. Viva Colombia! Welcome. Okay, so we've got Colombia on our side. Although I don't know how much support they can actually bring. Maybe a few infantry divisions at most. But hey, it's the thought that counts. They're actually getting some garrison units going. And communist partisan activity in China. I hope it's against the Japanese and not against the nationalists or Chiang Kai-shek's forces, because right now we really need the communists and the nationalists to work together if we want to get any sort of victory against the Japanese. Or else we're just going to have to use the British and the Americans to deal with them, pretty much land on China's east coast and attack them from there. All right, we've got some issues with our New Zealand convoys. Not the end of the world. Come on, retreat. That's it. They know what they have to do. So they're starting to retreat. Pretty sure we're going to break through that Romanian defense near Dniprovets. Did I get that right? Dniprovets? Also, guys, I can't link because I'm currently on a phone. But obviously, if you guys enjoy my streams here on the Slytherin channel, please do subscribe to me on YouTube, as well as on my Twitch channel. I do a tremendous amount of strategy games. And if you don't see me here, I'm probably there streaming. So be great if you guys could also join me there. Okay, we got some Japanese destroyers. Again, not too concerned about that. This is what's going on over here next to Leningrad, or on Leningrad, is what really concerns me. We got some German armies to the south, some Finnish armies to the north, and they're closing in on us. I do think we can break out, but it's just it's a pain to deal with this far into the campaign. Another thing that's going to be a pain to deal with is getting these guys back on transports and sending them to Calabria, and maybe even Naples, if we can get that far north, and dropping them off. Because now we've got to get off Sicily. We'll take the city of Palermo just to make sure, and at that point we get right off Sicily. I might leave like one infantry division behind to hold it, but I don't even think we need to, really. Yeah, this definitely looks like attempting to form a second front by the Germans. I don't think they're at all going for a counterattack. I mean, they could be, but why would they go for the counterattack at Kursk specifically? It's heavily defended. It was their final attempt at a counteroffensive, of course, but I'm starting to see why it's not such a great idea. So we really have to win that battle near Kursk, and at that point, I think the entire German army will fold and start pedaling back, probably to East Prussia, Königsberg, places like this, and just leave the rest of Poland and, of course, the rest of the Soviet Union just alone completely. But that's pretty positive thinking. Let's see what happens. Okay, wow. So the Japanese are getting pretty aggressive here. Just judging by the amount of troops they have, though, I don't think they can take China. They could pretty much harass China to no end, but taking it is going to be a really tall order unless they get like 5, 6, 7 more armies, and even then, I think it's going to be tough. Look at that. Look at the Chinese defending Yichang. And just the terrain in China is so mountainous. There's so many different things in your way that moving around here can be a real pain. Another thing you have to keep in mind, guys, we should also have our own partisans dropping behind enemy lines. I'm fairly sure that that's randomized. I don't want you guys to quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure the partisans are randomized. And if we're playing as the Soviets, the Germans are definitely going to get a few that will pop behind their lines. So we're just hoping they pop in the right area, of course. Oh boy, yeah, it looks like the infantry division that tried to break out there might be stopped. They're destroying a few of our troops around Kursk. We want to be careful, but we've got more than enough tank armies here that are about to take the place of those infantry units. Yeah, definitely agreed, Van. Van makes a great point that, you know, you can certainly, I mean, right now we're playing at the normal level in this game. I would say for anybody, like, fairly aware of any strategy games, it's not going to be impossible to win this, especially not as the Allies. But as he mentioned, when you're playing against a human player with PBM, it really brings an entirely new level of complexity to the game. You really have to think about every single move, because a single cutting off a single group of rail lines or something like that could finish you off. Just as an example, if you guys look at, I can't see it now, but the unit near Konotop, one of our units, it's at 1. It essentially shows us that once a unit is cut off, it's not getting back. I mean, unless you liberate it yourself. That unit has no access to fuel, it's got no access to ammunition, it's got no connection with its high command. It's going to be an easy target. So if you're playing against a friend and you can cut off, or pocket, as we like to say, a group of their army, you're on the road to victory. Of course, as you, like, increase the difficulty in this game, the AI will go for those encirclements, etc. Let's hope they don't go for them during this Let's Play, because I'd actually like a fairly easy Let's Play. Okay, so a lot of different groups destroyed. Australia has mobilized its home defenses. That's always a good thing. And now we're just getting the intelligence reports for different enemy activity. I might mess around with the Chinese lines once again, just to see if I can do anything, but I think we're pretty much good to go. Now, we've got the 4th Marine Special Forces Division, and you guessed it, we can't drop it anywhere near Europe. We're going to have to drop it right in the States and move from there. It is what it is. So we're going to drop them in New York City. And the Intrepid. Now, guys, this is the Intrepid Carrier. It's kind of funny because when I used to live in New York, when I had first moved there with my parents, I went and saw this carrier, the Intrepid. I don't know if it's still there for people to come and look at it. I'd be surprised if it wasn't, but a really cool little historical thing you can see in New York, if it's still there, is the Intrepid Carrier. Okay, looks like time to take Bryansk, but we get so much more damage against this unit east of Smolensk. I can't help myself. Sorry, boys. Here we go. Got them down to 1 so close. I know that's not going to end well for us, but I just want to weaken them once again. And we'll start using, or moving our units from Moscow to the front here. Oh, nice. We can get this guy out of the way. We are going to be able to move here and attack with the 4th Corps. Absolutely beautiful. That's the beauty of having some reinforcements and replacements. Okay, let's get rid of all the enemy here near Bryansk. this is what we mean by cutting off the enemy. If we can cut this guy off, it's going to be a huge win for us. I'm trying to find the best way. Alright, so yeah, we'll just start attacking Orel. It looks like they can't even return fire. They're in trouble, and we're now the ones with the pocket. You can see even our understrength divisions are having no difficulty pushing through. Boom, there we go. And 313 national morale bonus. That's huge, guys. Just huge. We have another attack, so we'll go ahead. We'll go for Orel. I didn't expect to take it this turn, but you know what? It looks like we're going to. Liberation of Orel has commenced. You also saw that beautiful national morale boost. And speaking of national morale boost, we should also consider going and getting some more units fairly soon here. Purchasing some more units. Although I think, as you guys could see, those replacements arriving, we never ordered those. So I think that the AI may be purchasing the units for us and just trying to keep it historically accurate. That even their tanks can't stand up to our infantry units. And we're actually going to send this tank unit over here. Boom. Another tank army destroyed. 500, I think it was 513 national morale there. There's not much we can do about this infantry unit, but I'm not too concerned, to be honest with you. Alright, let's see. Tank destroyer against tank destroyer. Actually, it looks like the enemy tank destroyer is much stronger. Let's not do anything there. But we'll move over here, and I'm going to start attacking von Manstein's HQ near Kharkov. If I'm not mistaken, and I should know this, von Manstein is the leader of Army Group South. So moving him back is going to be a pretty good way to establish dominance here in this particular fight. And look at that. Oh, yes. Oh, yes, we're already cutting them off. Hit von Manstein. If we could kill von Manstein, do you guys understand how devastating that would be for the Soviets? I mean, excuse me, for the Germans. So we're going for the jump here. I'm going to see if we can get this unit through. Nope. If not, I'll send this guy through just to kill Manstein and Kharkov and take the city as well. That's beautiful. Can we move? We may not be able to push through to Kharkov. Okay, we can. Beautiful. You are trapped, my friend. At this point, we just finish them off. We're not even going to wait a turn. We're just pushing right through, boys and girls. As for the units at Stalino, I'll carry out some air attacks against them. And, of course, commence or continue the infantry attacks. Yeah, German armor's taking a beating. Absolutely right, Duckman. That's right, they're encircled. German armor's encircled, although I wanted to take more than that. It's not... I was hoping for a bigger encirclement, but hey, well, you know, beggars can't be choosers. We'll go with it. Let's reinforce any units that are under strength. Even our fighters. I don't usually reinforce air units, but we'll definitely reinforce those fighters. What about this area? Okay, it looks like it's getting a little easier to break out. We're, of course, going to be breaking out through the south. I know, it'd be great to take Finland, but that's not happening. The Soviets have tried it before. We all know how that went. So what we're going to try to do is break out on the German side here. Beautiful. Another shattered enemy army. I love it. And yeah, nice. It's opening up a bit. Now we've actually got an area to get through at Volkov. I'm not as concerned. And the only reason I moved those units out of Orel was to move these guys here, but no, they can't attack this turn either. So I will go ahead and hit the Romanians at Bryansk. Although it might have been a better idea to use those bombers elsewhere, just because I don't see the Romanians as that big of a threat. Yeah, Van Bishop's absolutely right there. So what Van Bishop is saying is that it's better, and that's what I meant by, you know, I'm kind of pushing it by attacking him now. With situations like this where you've got a guy cut off, it's really better to just leave him, not attack him, not use any of your units against him, because each turn he's going to get weaker and weaker. That supply and the strength, or the strength is going to remain the same, but the supply is going to be reduced to the point where he can't possibly put up a fight. So we do want to keep that in mind as we push through here. And also we'll keep reinforcing, like for instance, these anti-tank divisions. Basically, anybody that needs reinforcement that can provide assistance to us, we're going to do that. Hey, how's it going, Simone? Good to see you, bud. Right, I think we can... No, I'm going to go ahead and hold off there. And please, please, Turkey, don't join the Axis for your own good. Okay, we're going to drop off some more troops here in Italy. It's actually the American HQ. It's Patton! Oh my goodness, we can't lose Patton. My goodness. George C. Scott will rise from the grave and kill us if we lose this. Okay, let's see if we can do anything. We've got 2 HQ divisions here. Man, these infantry, they better know what they're doing. Okay, beautiful. So there is a land bridge. Oh, thank goodness. So now we're moving to Catanzaro in Italy. And I think we can actually get there fairly quickly. Of course, I don't like the fact that our generals are right there, but it is what it is. Wow, I didn't know that. Well, what's the issue with Afghanistan 11? If somebody can tell me down below, that is absurd. I didn't know A11 got taken off. Okay. I would feel pretty bad for any of the Italian defenders at Catanzaro. It's looking rough. One thing I will do though, we still want to break through to Palermo and Syracuse. So let's finish that job up. Go ahead, charge through. Let me actually send the tanks. Yeah, it's going to take one last attack, but looks like the Second Corps will be liberating the city of Palermo here from fascist occupation. Beautiful. And it's going to have to be next turn for Syracuse. Wow, I didn't know that. That is really frustrating. Okay, we've got this AVL. Uh-oh. We just got ambushed there. Badly ambushed. That guy is most definitely in trouble. Just keep this here because it thinks that we've got low disk space, but we don't! We don't even have an E drive. I don't know what it's talking about. Okay, and we'll take the airborne division and try and get it onto an amphibious transport. We're so close, I don't even think we need a long-range amphibious transport. I think that's enough. I also want to send in these British units, but we're going to be leaving Tripoli open. Let's just hope that, you know, the Italians don't get wise here and send a sneaky infantry unit over here to take Tripoli. I don't think they will, honestly. Okay, bring up the Katyushas, and you know what, I'm going to keep pushing these generals forward. We should be keeping these really close to our forces. And as they are advancing, we might as well advance with them. It's always great when folks call you when you're doing a stream, isn't it? It's just great. All right, so we're going to keep on pushing forward here. Voronezh. I guess we can put our move our airfields closer, but I don't really see the point of that. At least not right now. You know what I mean? Eventually we want to do that. But we're still in range. We're still in a very good range of the Germans, so I don't think there's any point in moving forward or anything like that. Let's just go ahead. Oh, I wanted to get one more attack there on that 4. It's not going to happen, though, unless I move this infantry unit out, and that's just not safe. What I am going to do is take a look at our Chinese allies. Again, we have left this to the Chinese, the AI, but if I can get any interesting attacks, I'll go for it. From what I can see, though, I want to let the Chinese AI to go ahead and just do their thing. Okay. Alright, we're going to be taking New Guinea pretty soon as well, I think. I doubt the Japanese can hold out for much longer here. The frustrating part is we can't seem to get into this tile right here, south of Lai. Again, Papua New Guinea is known as an extremely wooded area, or tropical forest, etc. It's generally pretty hard to move through, so that kind of makes sense. It's just a little frustrating. And that's right, we got this AV. This is the First Corps, the Australian First Corps. So we got some Australians on the way. We're even going to send in fighters for this attack. But I'm pretty sure Syracuse will fall next turn. Nonetheless, we've taken the most important city in Sicily, which is Palermo. Maybe 1,000 years ago, Syracuse would be, up there, but I don't think so. Now it's just kind of the second city. Syracuse. Okay. Yeah, I'll have to take a look at that article afterwards. I was not aware of that, guys. That's tragic. Especially since I really like Afghanistan 11 and Vietnam 65. And the reason being, it's very rare, and I mean very rare, to see any coin-operated games. For those of you that don't know what coin is, that's basically a counter-insurgency game. I think it's like the kind of game that you have to be very risky to attempt, for the political ramifications. But it's also a tough game to make. They kind of had different mechanics with the convoys, things like that in Afghanistan 11, which really made it a challenge compared to a lot of other strategy games. So that's just unfortunate, man. Okay, let's end the turn. Although, before we do, I'll see if we can get anybody on these transports. I don't think so, though. They've already attacked this turn. So we are going to turn it over, no pun intended, to the Germans. Just take one more look at the Soviet line here. But I think we've done everything we can. I'll move the artillery forward a bit. Ooh. That tank division at Kharkov, I just hope that they hold. Alright, we're attacking into Stalino. Make sure we don't have any other armies. Eventually, we will have more forces from the east. I know that for sure. There's a massive group of Soviets arriving. All right, we're going to end the turn here, folks. Just making sure I don't see any Germans off our coast. So far, I don't. Oh, that's right. We want to keep on moving with our transports. So the question is, guys, do we want to land them right now in France? Or do we want to send them to the UK and prepare for Operation Overlord? The timing is never good for an invasion of France, as you guys can imagine. It's always going to be tough. There are better times, but in general, it's a tough campaign one way or the other. And these are the long-range amphibious transports. I just kind of wanted to see how far it could go. It seems to be pretty effective. And of course, at any point, we could have some German boats here, or German submarines, hit us and strike us for quite a lot of damage. Thank you, Van Bishop. So good point. So yeah, the transports can only land at home docks. If we had made them amphibious, that would be different, and we could actually commence the assault on the north, but it's way too early in the war to go ahead and start Operation Overlord. I'm going to wait just a little bit. We can even bring some troops from Mexico over to the front line. Pretty cool. I think we'll wait for now, and that's going to be it, guys. We'll end the turn here. Let's see what the Axis have up their sleeve. Certainly is, Spearhead Gamer. Get it while you can. So what would you say, Van Bishop, is the point of having the long-range amphibious transports? Is that just for, assuming you don't have, like, a port close by? Like, maybe, you know, areas like the Philippines, etc., would be appropriate for those? Oh, interesting. So he says when you land in Africa from the U.S., you'll need long range. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Understood. So if you're going for a battle in Northern Africa, that does make sense. And unfortunately, the 38th Army surrenders. That's what happens when you're cut off, guys. We had that just one unit in there. It also looks like the loss of the capital of Sicily has resulted in a pretty major drop for Italian national morale. Gotta love that, and we just have to keep on pushing. Okay, so it looks like the Japanese are definitely reinforcing Wuhan, and looks like they might be going for a counterattack. The Germans and the Romanians, on the other hand, look at that. They just put some Romanian troops into Smolensk. They certainly don't intend to hold that if they put some Romanian troops there. So I think they're probably forming a second defensive line, if I had to guess, to stop the incoming tide of Soviets. But their airfields are deceptively close to the front still. So I don't know. I don't know what they're planning. We'll have to see. Thank you, Van Bishop. So Van Bishop says Italy is about to switch alliances. I think if we could take the capital of Calabria there, maybe they will. But maybe we need to take Rome before they actually switch. All right, our destroyers are getting, or I should say our submarines are getting away from the Japanese destroyers. That's good to see. We haven't been doing much in that sea region to the east, but we certainly could. Interesting. So Van says you take Naples and it should be a done deal. I hope so. Napoli is in our sights. Okay, so they actually did take Luki. Not too familiar with this area, but the Germans did manage to remove one of our armies there. And they're moving in. That is not good. Although I think we could still hold them in the north. It's just a tiny reprieve for the Germans. They think, oh, maybe we can get through here. I highly doubt it, because we're advancing on every other front. Even if they make it through the north, they're going to be cut off eventually. Wow, the Japanese, I don't know if you guys are seeing what I'm seeing. It looks like they're getting a little desperate. They're in the south. They keep attacking the Chinese. They keep losing those battles. And all the Chinese would have to do is cut off the northern Japanese army from the southern, and they would be in trouble. I think they'd still be fine on supplies, but they wouldn't be able to really work together too well, and that could be a problem. Oh, Patton's dead. Patton has died, I believe, in our LP. Well, not everybody likes Patton. Montgomery will be happy and will continue to advance. Even the Romanians are on the attack here. And most of the Italian ships just seem to kind of be evaporating away. Not even really attempting to stop any sort of invasion. Then again, once you take Sicily, and I like this, you know, even though technically there's no actual land bridge between Sicily and mainland Italy, I like that in these strategy games it allows you to move from Sicily to mainland Italy, because it would be such a short distance. I don't even think it needs to be concerned about. Okay, British commandos raid St. Malo. All right, nice. Little raid there. Allied raiders disrupt Dutch East Indies to Japan convoys. We could commence Operation Overlord, although once again, I think I'd wait a turn or two, or maybe even 3. Get into 44. I like that idea, Van Bishop. Okay, we've got some Canadian naval troops here. And some tactical bombers for our Soviet army. Can never get too many bombers. I'll put them over here near the Romanian front. And we're going to commence or continue the attack. So first things first, we want to cut these guys off. So I'm going for the airfields. Take the guy from Kharkov. Oh yeah, guys, we are slowly but surely getting a nice little encirclement going. Alright, we're going straight for Dneprovetsk. At the same time, continuing the encirclement here. I'm not sure if it's a real encirclement unless we take out that general unit right there. I'm going to assume it is. They've still got supplies from the Sea of Azov. So what I'll do is I'll wipe out this Romanian unit just to make sure and cut them off even a little more. Let's actually move this unit into Kharkov. And I'll wait them. I'll let them rot. I'm not going to attack outright. So there we go, guys. Some major pockets appearing in the enemy line. This is what we want. You just have to keep it going. We've got to keep it going. So I'm moving some of these guys up here, pushing our tanks through, basically doing a Soviet-style blitz, if you can call it that, to cut off every single enemy in this general area. Here we go. 300 national morale bonus. That is pretty great. And actually, it's going to be armored train versus armored train, guys. The Ilya Muromets against the Michael armored train. Let's see who comes out with a victory. And it looks like our armored train did. I'm actually going to move this guy back just to make room for another group. The Kaluga army there. I think we can pretty much wipe them out. There we go. That's a dead armored train, folks. I'll actually grab this unit because he can still attack. And we're going to hit the Romanians at Smolensk. They're using a lot of the Romanian divisions sort of as like glorified garrison units here. And just putting it in the cities here. I don't think that's actually a bad idea. It allows them to sort of restructure their army elsewhere. So it might actually work out for them all right. In the meantime, I'm just trying to make a line here so that the northern Germans here don't mess with us too much. And I'd love to take Novgorod, but first I'm going to try to just weaken the German army in this sector. That should have been a point for us. My goodness, okay. Ah, that makes sense. So ours is an actual armored train, but theirs is just the Gustav, the massive Gustav gun. Once again, moving units out so that we can move newer units in. But those guys have already attacked, so I don't think they can do too much this turn. Get those generals going, though. And I'll reinforce our tank destroyers there. Let's hope this is a proper encirclement, folks. I'm going to move just a little bit more here. Try to make it even more official. But I think they can still get supplies from the Sea of Azov. If anybody wants to confirm or deny that, you can let me know. I'm pretty sure that's the case. Can actually go for a second attack. Why not? And now we'll focus on Italy and see if we can get there. We can't get there this turn, but we can certainly get there next turn. We just want to immediately start putting everybody on those ships. First, let's break through to Catanzaro here. $150 national morale bonus. Beautiful. Move the tank there. That way, our at least Montgomery will survive. Actually, this is General Alexander, but General Patton is has been captured by the enemy. All right. First of all, we also want to take Syracuse, which I'm pretty sure that the 13th Corps can deal with here. Beautiful. So completely under our control at this point, and I'm just going to bring all of our ships along the coast, just basically create a little, sort of just a gun barrier. Any Italians in this general area are going to get hit, for sure. And I might even keep fighting the Italian Navy. They're not too much of a threat, but if we can get some kills on battleships, etc., and stop them from hitting any of our transports, perfect. So I'm still going to hit the Italian Navy for some damage. Send in the Renown there for a 350 national morale boost. That's pretty great. And General Montgomery is right here, in between Sicily and mainland Italy. So we'll start moving him forward as well. I'm going to keep 2 infantry divisions there, just to make sure that nobody takes the area, although I think we're good. And there's Monte Cassino. That's essentially the real strong point. They've even got Germans there holding it. The capital, Naples here, capital of southern Italy, or at least the region of Napoli. I guess we can move in there, take it, and hopefully that will be the end of the Italians. They'll go ahead and pretty much surrender. At that point, Mussolini moves to the north over here and begins the Republic of Salo, the Italian fascist republic. All right, our American troops are arriving. That's great. American and Canadian forces arriving, and at this point we'll just drop them off in the motherland, the mother country. And look at that, guys. I see 2 German submarines right there. Yeah, it's good that we're getting out of here right now, hopefully in time. Problem is we have to drop those transports off at a proper port. They're not AVs. This one is, but most of them are not AVs, which means they actually have to land in a port for the men to get off. In the meantime, I'm going to try to go towards those subs, or at least get them to focus on our military, our naval military ships, I guess you could say, instead of our transport ships. Keep on moving. I'm just going to bring that destroyer. The Leary destroyer has a talent for hunting German submarines. Still wouldn't go very well for us here at Port Moresby. I mean, it's obviously eventually a place we want to take, but it's going to take a little while. Could also bring over some of these American troops from Australia. I think I'll go ahead and set up an amphibious transport here. Start moving him towards this area. We obviously want to get some more units here. We could even take some units over here from the Solomon Islands and move them over to the west over there too, to Port Moresby. So let me begin doing that. I'll go ahead and make him an amphibious transport as well. It's going to take him a little while to get out here, but it's a start. We just want to keep this area fairly safe so that we don't have any Japanese submarines sneaking in to knock out our transports. That wouldn't be very good. Just a tremendous amount of manpower here, guys, even from the Australians that we can bring to bear in this particular theater. But as you guys can imagine, I mean, this is such a massive game. If I wasn't playing it here on a stream for such a large audience, I would probably take the time to micromanage every last thing, but I think we probably would have only gotten through 2 turns at most by this point, maybe even just 1. There's so much to micromanage in this game, and that's why I really do like the option to set certain countries as AI, so you don't have to really worry about them, and that way you can kind of focus on parts of the war that you find interesting, let's say. Oh, look at that. That's an easy kill. Couldn't help myself. Even there, couldn't help myself. I mean, when the chances of a victory look that good, you gotta go through with it. Okay, we can still attack here for quite a bit of damage. Not going to go for that one, but no, we'll leave that alone. What about over here? I think we've pretty much got everything set up, guys. Yeah, at this point, I'm really just trying to get to Naples as soon as possible. We've got everybody out, ready to fight, but the Italians have quite a few units here too, including, of course, that dreaded German support. To deal with the devil. Okay, end the turn there, guys. Let's see what the enemy does. Okay, the Chinese seem to be encircling the Japanese here, guys. So if they can get to Nanking, which is right off there to the east, to the west of the East China Sea, they could potentially cut off the Japanese here. And we all know the Japanese are not likely to surrender, so it'll be interesting to see what they decide to do, to say the least. So yeah, this is definitely the British Raj, guys. These are the Indian troops under British control. They're pushing back a tremendous amount of the Japanese. And it looks like the Allied occupation of Syracuse lowers Italian national morale. We've lowered it a tremendous amount already. And thank goodness, French partisans disrupting supply. So we've got the French resistance rising up as well. Things are going pretty well. And it looks like the engineers completed a fortress, the Chinese engineers here, to the south of Chongqing. And Ukraine nationalists attacked the Red Army near Kiev. Now, this is new. I didn't remember this in the old Strategic Command, but here we actually have basically partisans for the enemy side, for the German side, supporting the Germans here and trying to stop our invasion, or our liberation, however you want to see it. Pretty interesting here. Okay, so the Formidable was hit by rough seas. Although it is formidable, it should be able to withstand that. Okay, the Italians are still fighting back. Not much of their navy is left, but they're not giving up as easily as we expected. Again, they can't put up much of a fight, unfortunately for them. But yeah, they're trying to keep us away, that's for sure. And sure enough, the submarines took our bait and went for our battleships, didn't even bother with any of our transports. That's how we want it. I mean, I don't mind them hitting our military naval vessels. I couldn't care less. I just don't want them hitting any of our transport vessels. All right, our interceptors are stopping the Luftwaffe in their tracks, and they've actually, if you look at west of Stalino, it looks like they may have turned the encirclement around on us. I still think we can break out pretty easily, but some of their units got out. Some of them are still stuck behind our lines, but not nearly as many as I wanted. I wanted that entire group to be trapped, but it looks like we only got 1 or 2 armies. I was hoping for, you know, well, not armies, but 1 or 2 divisions. I was hoping for an entire army there, all of Army Group South, or a nice big chunk of it. It's not nearly as easy as it was early war for the Axis to get off good attacks, good bombing runs. It's a lot more challenging because now the Soviets, the Chinese, they both have pretty decent air forces. The Chinese not nearly as good as the Soviet, but they're also getting assistance from some American pilots. And yeah, they're actually able to put up a fight. I mean, you have to consider also that the Japanese Air Force, it had some great things going for it. The Zero was an incredible fighter plane, but you have to keep in mind, not exactly the best armored planes, number one, and certainly, you know, not as many pilots as you'd like. It'd be great to get a few more pilots for the Japanese side. You know, ultimately, they had to succumb to using kamikaze attacks. And by the way, this game does represent kamikaze attacks as the war continues. I think it happens a bit later, but the Japanese will eventually, you know, resort to some pretty desperate tactics to win. And one of those being the kamikaze attacks here. All right, we got some Katyusha defensive artillery, hopefully enough to send the Germans scurrying. Oh boy. Got some brave German troops here. Okay, look at that. That's that tank division trying to escape. I think we've got them, though. We've got them dead to rights. At least that tank division and potentially the units at Stalino. And might try to wipe out that Romanian HQ to the very south. I think once we take that, Sea of Azov or not, we have them trapped. But could be mistaken. Take a look here at the chat afterwards, folks. Once again, for those of you that don't know, I'm sure you've seen the messages there on chat quite regularly. We still have the holiday sale going on. So if you're looking for discounts on any Slytherin or Matrix games, this is definitely the time to head on over and pick some up. I think it's, you know, obviously holiday sales, this is kind of what you wait for. If you're a strategy game purchaser, it's a good time to go ahead and get something that you've been waiting for, or maybe even get something for a friend. Strategy games, especially if you're giving it to a friend that appreciates them, a pretty good Christmas gift if I ever saw one. Alright, we've got some enemies purchasing planning, and I think it's going to turn over to us this upcoming turn. Okay, there's the attrition losses, guys. So that's what was mentioned before. Essentially, if a unit is cut off, it's going to take those attrition losses, and that helps us big time. If we could do that to the entire German army, we could essentially just let them sit there and slowly, you know, die due to attrition. That wouldn't be very fun, though, would it? Okay, so here we go, guys. What my real concern is, not even a concern, just what I would like to do is get into Naples this turn. I don't think that's going to happen, though. Although we've nearly streamed this for an entire 2 hours, and I have to say, it only feels like I've been playing 20 minutes. It's just a very addictive game. It's one of those one more turn type things. In this case, the one more turn would be, I just want to take Naples and see what happens. But there's so much more to be done. You know, like, we're in October 11th of 43. We still have to go ahead and do Operation Overlord, aka D-Day, entirely on our own. That's completely up to us. It's just going to be interesting to see how we deal with these things. I really, really think that this has a tremendous amount of potential when it comes to how you deal. And look at this. We're already dropping off our boys. Just arrived from the United States and preparing as well for Operation Overlord. As mentioned earlier, I believe it was by Van Bishop, it would be very important if we decided to go through with Operation Overlord to get some general units over there. Almost essential. And we lost Patton, so that's going to be tough. Let's move forward. Okay, here we go. Trying to make it through the Italian lines. Each inch of Italian soil that you're fighting for is a real pain. It really is. Especially once you get to the center here, Naples, Rome. This is where the fighting gets extremely tough for the Allied side. No point in not having our Air Force on Sicily. It's actually a pretty good place to have your Air Force to attack the rest of mainland Italy. I think that's a perfect place to have some bombers, etc. Alright, let's jump into the chat, boys, see what you guys have been tapping out here. But first, I want to see if we can do anything else here. Although, because of the weather, it might actually be tough for us to get here this turn. The Germans got very lucky here, because if not because of the rain, the massive amount of mud, and you can actually see the mud represented here. I really like that as well. You can see all that brown is mud. The rest of this, nice and green, lush, etc. Pretty good, you know, for moving through and attacking, etc. But this is actually going to save the Germans here at Stalino one more turn. We can't cut them off until we take this area, Melitopol, or if we take out that Romanian general. And it's just not in the cards right now. Our tanks cannot move that far. However, you can see how easy it is to take out a unit that's been behind our lines. We're using the 4th Shock Army. This is an infantry force. We're just going to click once, and that's a dead German tank division. Yeah, pretty amazing how quickly that occurs. So I guess the goal here, especially as the Soviets, is to try and do what the Germans were trying to do to us initially. Entirely cut off their army, and at that point we could just pick them off little by little. Let's take a look here at the chat. Oh, that's very cool, Blubka. He says, friends bought me Field of Glory 2 and 2 DLCs as a Christmas gift. That is really awesome. And, Yeah, I think that's one of the few ways that you're going to get people into the strategy genre. A lot of people that I've known are kind of intimidated by these sort of games, but once they get into them, they can't let them go. I'm sure all of you guys here that are strategy fans, you know what the feeling is like to find a strategy game that you get really attached to. You start to, daydream about it, etc. It's almost a constant thought in your mind. So I totally understand that. As you can see here, though, beautiful setup for Operation Overlord. We won't be doing that this particular stream as we're getting to the end here. But I just want to go ahead and reiterate, guys, that the holiday sale is going on right now. It's an absolutely perfect time to go ahead and pick up any Slytherin or Matrix games that you'd like to pick up. I have a few recommendations myself, but I'm going to let you guys go ahead and do that on your own. We're also going to take Bryansk here before we get off, because I want to trap that German army right there. So let's move forward with this semi-weak army, the 11th Army, and those Germans at Bryansk are completely trapped. You can also see here the absolute desperation of a trapped army. Imagine being one of the infantry units inside this army right here. You know there's no way for you to escape. Even if you manage to run away from the lines, you're going to be caught by the Soviets. They'll likely kill you on the spot. So you really got to just basically wait for the inevitable. There's not much else. We're not even going to wait for them to lose supply. We're just going to go straight in and shatter them entirely. But just goes to show you how important encirclement is in these semi-modern conflicts especially. Or really any conflict, if you ask me. What I am going to do, get this guy out of the way. Let's move the railroad in. The train, not the entire railroad. That would be quite a process. Okay, guys. It's looking not bad at all. Of course, this is entirely up to you. You can be your own general in this game. You can do things however you want. For those of you that weren't here for the stream we had a couple days ago, you can actually play as Germany and decide to take Poland entirely. Throw away the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact and not even respect Stalin's wishes to split the country. There are so many different aspects of the game. As you can see over here, the diplomatic screen can also be used to bring nations that otherwise would not be involved in World War II over to your side, or nations that would eventually side with the Axis or the Allies. You can change that, really, depending on how many military points you're willing to spend on the diplomacy aspect of the game. And of course, your attacks can completely happen however you'd like them to. So for instance, if we wanted to start Operation Overlord early, it's 43, we probably could. I don't know if it would be successful, but it's a possibility in the game. And as you guys saw earlier, a lot of the things you do, for instance, taking Italian cities, or any city for that matter, can actually affect other areas of the game, making things easier or more difficult, depending on what you do. And what I'm going to do here, just in case for anybody that did not see the initial part of the stream, I want to save this, and I want to show you guys just the different campaigns that we have. So if this is going to be anything like the original Strategic Command, then what I would love to see is I'd love to see some mods. The modding community with the original Strategic Command was pretty awesome. Came up with some pretty cool stuff, and I'd love to see the same here. So let's go ahead. We're going to head to the main menu. Now, once again, somebody asked earlier about multiplayer. Yes, we have Hot Seat. You've also got PBM Online, so you can play by email. Highly recommend this, especially if you're like me, you've got work, you can't be playing games all the time, but this allows you to at least maybe do 1 turn, 2 turns a day, or every few days, work it out with your friends. This is a great way to start a multiplayer game. So for the single player, there's a bunch of slots down here that I believe are left empty for some modders to do some good old work. We've of course got 1939 World at War, and this is of course the very beginning of World War II. With any of these campaigns, let me reiterate, guys, you can play as either side. You can also play as individual countries. 1942, we've got the Axis High Tide, and this is really specifically right before the battle for Stalingrad. See if you can't totally change the tide for the Germans. 1943 would be the Allies' High Tide, and of course you've got the Race to Victory over here. We were playing 43 to 45. Race to Victory here. That's what we were specifically playing. But it's totally up to you. So assuming I take World at War, right? Let's say I want to play this campaign. And let's say I really don't want to have to worry about any of the other nations. I just want to specifically focus on Imperial Japan. I can do that. So right there, I'll select Italy and Germany as the AI nation, and I'll only be playing as Imperial Japan. I think this really allows for like sort of a different look at the game, a different approach to Strategic Command. If you don't feel like controlling the entire war effort, I think that's fine. Yeah, I'm kind of the same. I like to take one country, focus on it, usually the Soviet Union, and go from there. So if you'd like to do that, this game completely allows it. All right, guys. Well, I want to thank everybody for stopping by. For those of you that don't know, I am Agrippa Maxentius. And, oh, I'd love it if you guys would subscribe there to my channel. You can also click on my name there and subscribe to me on Twitch. I do very similar streams to the ones I do here on the Slytherin group channel. And always happy to do streams here. These guys are great. They're one of the few companies that focuses entirely on the strategy genre for the most part. And I really have a lot of respect for them for that. All right, folks, I'll see you on the next one. I want to thank everybody for stopping by once again. Again, if you would like to help me out, go ahead and sub there, drop some comments, and also just click the actual name above the link, and you can actually subscribe to me here on Twitch as well. Not a problem. Always a pleasure, guys. I'll catch you on the next one. Please don't forget, guys, take advantage of that holiday sale. Go get the games you've been dreaming of, or even games that perhaps you've thought of getting but weren't sure about. This is a great time to take that plunge. Take care, guys. I'll catch you on the next one. Thank you so much, Paul. I really appreciate it, mate.